All right, friends, welcome back to the Crisis Report. It is February, well, now 17th, but it was 16th, and that's what we're going to be covering. So, uh, good to have you here, and good to be doing our things. Hopefully, X and Twitter are back up. This one is going to be called Things Are Getting Stranger, because they are. Many different levels. So, we're going to cover everything. We're not going to be long-winded tonight, and we'll go back to our regular programming tomorrow. My apologies for being more aloof in the last 72 hours. Just a lot of things going on. Honestly, folks, I'm trying to get my house set up, and the internet has been an interesting thing, something I didn't foresee. Because, you move out in the middle of nowhere, you just assume services and everything, and, well, getting the internet to where my wife can work and I can do my things here and everything was a little bit more of a tougher hill to climb than I expected. So, but I think we're almost there. I need one more wire, and we should be good. And I am planning on doing interviews with people, but doing interviews when your internet is poop makes for a terrible experience for everybody. So, to those that I've talked to about this, it's coming and it's going to be real soon. I should be contacting you this week, but I spent a few hours and about 5 different trips to the Best Buy and Walmart and everything else, trying to get all the wires and all the connectivity and the extenders and the mesh and everything else. And it's been interesting, but I think we've got it to a place where it's okay. If it's 5x5, give me a 5x5. If there's any cutting out, I know last week there was times when the video was cutting out, and that's basically what I've been battling. So, internet boosts, mesh networks, wires, strategic placement, redoing things. It was a pretty big to do today. So, all right, and tell me if anything goes out, because that's basically what is trying to be avoided. So, all right, this is your crisis report for February 16th. 16th, 2026. All right, God bless you all. Here we go. Oh, wait, let me, helps when I share things. I put out a short on the PrepperNow earlier. I don't even know if it's doing anything. I haven't been able to keep up. So, anyway, we're here now, and you're here. So, let's get started. Okay. House Intelligence Committee member Representative Stube admits they have received no briefings on Jeffrey involvement with U.S. or foreign intelligence. Why? Because it would show that there's involvement. So, Lindsey Graham says he plans to visit Israel every 2 weeks to ensure Israeli citizens are well protected, because that's what matters. Billionaire Thomas Pritzker has resigned as chairman of Hyatt Hotels over his association with Jeffrey and all of that to do. That name Pritzker, where have I heard that before? Oh, that's right. He is the governor of Illinois. I wonder if they are cousins or family or something. Top military officials from Germany and the UK have urged every individual citizen in Europe to prepare for a, quote, possible Russian attack, end quote. Robert Duvall, famous for the roles in The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, has died today at age 95. He was a fantastic actor in some of the best films ever created. Hyatt Hotels billionaire Thomas Pritzker is resigning because of Jeff. 2 killed, including the suspect, and 4 hospitalized after a shooting during a school hockey game. Pawtucket, Rhode Island. You want to talk about peak surreal? There's nothing more surreal than watching a bunch of kids playing hockey and then gunfire rings out. Officials confirmed that the shooting appeared to be a family dispute and that one of the hospitalized victims has now died from the injuries. I will let all of you take a wild guess as to the makeup, the whatever you want to call it, the demographics of the person that did the unaliving. Just we'll just let you take a wild guess as to what kind of a makeup they were. And I'll give you a hint. They like to wear makeup. So, oh man, nothing new under the sun. Famous rock structure on Italy's Adriatic coast, known as the Lover's Arch, collapses on Valentine's Day after days of bad weather. EU has banned the destruction of unsold clothing, accessories, and footwear for large companies from 19th of July 2026, medium-sized companies to follow in 2030 as part of a Green Deal to make companies more sustainable. You could just give them to homeless people or people for free. Trump calls out AOC, Gavin Newsom, Hillary Clinton for their talks at the Munich Security Conference. He said they shouldn't be talking badly about USA, especially on foreign soil. Whoops. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Stupid. Trump says he has nothing to hide. He's been exonerated. There's nothing to do with Jeffrey. They went in hoping they'd find it. Found just the opposite, and he's totally exonerated. I don't think anybody is totally exonerated. I think we're all being led to know, and the timing is interesting, that most people in our government are incredibly evil. So not most, but many, and it's frightening because these are the guys that are driving the boat. We need statesmen back, folks, not people that are in there for personal gain. But I think we're a little too far beyond all that right now. We're whistling past the graveyard. Tokyo said it had lodged a stern démarche to China through diplomatic channels after Beijing's top diplomat Wang Yi accused far-right forces in Japan of seeking to revive militarism. So they're going to probably change their constitution because the conservative right-wing party there got a supermajority. All right. It's awesome, too, the way they do their elections. They basically make it so you have to have identification and you can't just, vote whenever you want. And the people that are allowed to vote are, what's that word? Citizens. So amazing. We'll see where it goes, but China's not happy. There's been a massive ground collapse in Pondok Balik, Katol District, Central Aceh, Indonesia. Continues to expand, threatening nearby communities. Over 30,000 square meters of land has already been swallowed up. Roads and power lines at risk. It's pretty immense. It's pretty amazing to see. Hey, look at that. X was hit by international outages again, according to monitors. French government officials have blamed the, quote, ultra-left, end quote, for the death of far-right activist in Lyon after he was attacked on the sidelines of a conference by hard-left France unbowed MEP Rima Hassan, Euronews has reported. Quentin D., 23, died in a hospital after traumatic brain injury on Saturday evening. It's almost like there's a few of the leftists that are incredibly violent and don't believe that regular political means are the way to change things. And they have the right, because it's by any means possible for many of them, to do whatever it takes to get what they want, even if it means unaliving someone. Scientist gave himself brain damage by testing a secret audio weapon on himself in an attempt to disprove Havana syndrome. So obviously that didn't go well for him. Iran said Monday that the U.S. position on Tehran's nuclear program has moved towards a more realistic one ahead of a second round of talks. War Secretary Pete Hegseth is close to cutting business ties with Anthropic and designated the AI company a supply chain risk, meaning anyone who wants to do business with the U.S. military has to cut ties with the company, senior Pentagon official told Axios. I don't know what they did to him or whatever. I've heard nothing but problems with Anthropic. So who knows? Multiple U.S. Air Force KC-135RT, Stratotanker, and KC-46A Pegasus aerial refueling aircraft were observed moving northeast across the United States overnight, with flight paths indicating a likely transatlantic movement toward Europe and then the Middle East. Activity comes amid an ongoing military buildup, widely seen as part of the preparations for a potential strike on Iran. Germany's FM, or foreign minister, says sticking with the U.S. is the only realistic option, and China isn't the alternative. The alternatives are not better. They're not. We have been a successful alliance in the past and must be for the future. I'd rather do all this with the USA than with China. It's absolutely correct, because China is a Trojan horse. Germany's foreign minister, Johann Wadephul, says that Europe cannot defend itself without the U.S. We are only capable of defending ourselves together with the USA and not alone. Without the nuclear umbrella of the USA, without the Secret Service information from the USA, we are not capable of defending ourselves here. This is pure reality. He is correct. Rubio, Iran deal, not easy amid theological rule. He said that striking a deal with Iran is not easy, arguing that Tehran's decisions are shaped by radical Shia clerics who base policy on theology, as he addressed global issues during talks in Budapest. Hey, look at this. Robert Dorgan, who also goes by the name of Roberta Esposito, is named the suspect in the Pawtucket, Rhode Island ice hockey shooting. So he's a white guy by the name of Robert Dorgan, who has decided to change his name to Roberta Esposito, who I would imagine is not Caucasian. So he did the full deal. He went other team. He went all the way. You know, you just keep pumping out the crazy. The crazy is going to keep pumping it out. I wonder why. New Mexico lawmakers have passed legislation to begin the first comprehensive investigation into Zorro Ranch, where Mr. Jeffrey is accused of trafficking youngins and doing terrible things from there that I will not describe to you. So, sorry, I'm reading Glory to be Oz. Interesting use of scripture. Yep, they are not human. I would agree. Yeah, we're going against things that are not of this. I don't think we can comprehend them, to be honest. That's why things are getting stranger is my thing. I actually have a meme I'm going to be putting onto Twitter, X, Gab Minds, Truth Social, and all those that I'm on, where I just post every once a week or whatever. Things are. We are in a battle, and I'll just leave it at that. Venezuelan crude oil exports have collapsed after the kidnapping of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Only effect Operation Absolute Resolve had was to reshuffle the trade routes, with Venezuela stopping oil exports to China, thus making the U.S. the biggest buyer of Venezuelan oil. However, Venezuelan oil exports to the U.S. have not surpassed the levels seen after former U.S. President Joe Biden partially lifted sanctions on Venezuela's oil refineries. British and Japanese economies grew by 0.1% in quarter four, 2025, respectively. 2025, Japan's population declined by 900,000 people, while the UK added 750,000 new residents to its population. I wonder where they're from. Japanese markets are making history. A correlation between the Japanese yen and the Topix stock index has just flipped positive for the first time since 2005. Means both the yen and Japanese stocks are rising together, a rare historical signal in this market. Shift comes as the yen has strengthened 1% against the USD over the last year, while the Topix index has rallied 38%. Historically, such a pattern has typically occurred during secular bull markets like Japan in 1982 to 1990, Germany in 1985 to 1995, and China in 2000 to 2008. U.S. officials do not have a clear plan for who would take over if Iran is collapsed. U.S. intelligence suggests the IRGC would likely fill any immediate leadership vacuum, but its internal hierarchy is not well understood, especially after the killing of Qasem Soleimani. Unlike in Venezuela, the U.S. lacks detailed insight into potential successors. Some officials believe there was a brief window during the peak protests when military action might have shifted momentum toward Iran's opposition. Sources familiar with the intelligence told CNN that they now wonder whether Trump missed the moment and questioned whether military strikes weeks later would accomplish what they would have last month. I remember on January 23rd, I reported, hey, they get this one last asset in the area, they're able to go. I'm not saying I liked it or not. I'm just saying they could have on January 23rd. So, say what you will about Venezuela, they did a very, very good decapitation. Militarily, it was as good as you could hope for. Iran won't be the same, regardless, even now. And it might not have been back in January. So, Cuba is right now a failed nation, according to Trump. We're talking to Cuba right now. I have Secretary Rubio talking to Cuba right now, and they should absolutely make a deal because it's really a humanitarian threat. We have a lot of great Cuban Americans, and they're going to be very happy when they're going to be able to go back and say hello to their relatives. Fun fact, Cuban Americans are some of the most conservative out there. I believe Iran wants to reach a deal, according to Trump, head of the talks. I will be involved indirectly. They don't want the consequences of not reaching a deal. Russia is intensively supplying weapons to Iran. Over the past 3 days, 3 flights of Russian IL-76 TDs from Mineralnya Vody to the Iranian city of Karaj have been recorded. Previously, Mi-28NE helicopters were delivered to Iran in a similar manner, so it is assumed that these flights are transporting new branches of strike machines produced for the Iranian army. On Saturday, February 14th, the Munich Security Conference, Secretary of State Rubio delivered, many say, one of his strongest speeches to date. He is a rising star in the administration, one of the positives, according to the international community. He contended that America's deindustrialization was not an unintended outcome, product of deliberate decades-long policy trajectory, eroding national wealth, weakening productive capacity, and compromising economic sovereignty. Those are all correct. Why did he frame it this way? Tied to the 1977 Council on Foreign Relations report that referenced the concept of controlled disintegration and of the global economy, critics maintain that such a framework undermined the Hamiltonian American system and accelerated the hollowing out of U.S. manufacturing, while also contributing to Europe's present industrial decline. So, he's rising. And, the Hamiltonian system is a dynamical system governed by Hamilton's that's not it. Sorry. I think he's talking about Hamilton was a big proponent of the central banks, and he was not an anti-federalist. He was a federalist, if I remember correctly. So what you have now, the Hamiltonian system, is more the federalist system and not the Jeffersonian anti-federal system. So I think that's what he's referencing. U.S. white-collar hiring is extremely weak, but I could be wrong. If you know something better, put it in there. I don't care. There are now just 1.6 job openings per 100 employees in the professional and business services sector, the lowest in at least 11 years. This ratio has more than halved since 2021 and even lower than 2020 Ronademic. We need more power. Yes, we do. That's why your bills are going to be freaking destructors. Global data center power demand is now expected to rise to a record 1,596 terawatt hours by 2035. That would mark a 255% increase from 2025. U.S. is set to remain the leader in consumption with a 144% surge in demand over the period. Oh, I have thoughts on all that, but we'll leave it here. I'm too tired to put it together, but let's just say, wouldn't it be crazy to get free energy right when they put in the UBI and all that? So yeah, you're able to power everything. You got to pay for all that crap, but you're also controlled via the mechanisms of UBI and other statist, federalist kind of things. SpaceX and XI are competing in a secretive new U.S. Pentagon contest to produce voice-controlled autonomous drone swarming technology, per Bloomberg. Winner of the challenge will be awarded $100 million. U.S. national debt is set to surge $2.4 trillion per year over the next 10 years, according to the new CBO estimates. As a result, U.S. debt will likely reach a record $64 trillion in 2036, doubling from 2023 levels. Be triple the debt recorded in 2018. China's 2008 moment is happening. New home prices in 70 Chinese cities have fallen 0.4% month over month. Year over year, prices have fallen 3.1%, marking the steepest annual decline in 7 months. Of the 70 cities surveyed, 62 posted price declines, up from 58 in December. Trading volumes in software stocks are exploding. Turnover in the tech software ETF IGV jumped to a near record 10.96 billion on Friday, more than 5 times the 200-day moving average and 3.5 times the 50-day moving average. Also follows a record, whatever that is. But speaking trader, your moving average is what, like, kind of the it's where, like, the price basically is over a series of months, and when you get 5 times above that, that means that things are pumping. Investors are seeking more downside protection in big tech. Retail value of debt being insured against default in major tech companies is up to $10 billion. Furthermore, not in notional credit default swaps, or CDS, outstanding are nearly up 400% from the 2.2 billion seen just, I'm going to imagine, 13 months ago. So things are strange all over the place. There is a whole bunch of things going on. Sleep is good, trucking is dead. You nailed it. God, what an anecdotal thing did I find? Someone told me anecdotal evidence. I can't think of it right now, but someone I know was talking about something that they do, and it was interesting because they were like, basically, right now the economy is in the ish. Or anyway, I can't remember. I'll try to figure it out. But I appreciate you. Okay. Quick question: was there any glitching, any problems with the sound, anything? Okay, because instead of doing some stupid tester live stream like I've done before, I wanted to know how this worked in my new setup, because we had to move furniture. I mean, it was a big deal. So if you could tell me that everything went off as Jill is saying, without a glitch, a hitch, or any problems whatsoever, that will make today's activities worth it. 5 by 5 throughout. Everything sounded great. Okay, wonderful. All right, I got one more thing I got to do with this, and then I'm going to start to do my interviews, and those are going to be over on PrepperNow. PrepperNow has been put aside for the last 72 hours. My apologies. I'll be making a video in the morning as we go back. Let me go see how the short is doing. I think it's probably all right. I haven't lost any subs, so I guess that's good. And yeah, there we go. Oh, yep. All right, pretty good. Pretty good. See, it's good to kind of chill out for a few days. Sometimes absence makes the heart grow fond, right? So I needed it. We just trying to put this place together in the middle of a huge snowstorm and 3 weeks of brutal cold was just not happening. And then you tack on all the kids stuff and everything else, and then other things. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, folks. I went and saw my doctor today because I was worried. I was having some strange feelings in my innards, but everything was tip top. I was down a little bit more weight, need to lose more. Blood pressure was really good, and she basically said it was more than likely stress, and you just need to. It's funny. She's married to a devout Christian, and she's Hindu, and she speaks as if she's Christian, I guess, from her husband. Um, but she also she talks the talk, and she's like, "Look, you don't have control over anybody else. You don't have control over all this stuff. All you can do is you. All you can do is let go and let God." And she just basically said it that way, and she's right. So all this stuff that's going on, guys, I'm going to cover it daily. I am. I'm going to move heaven and earth to get here. We'll go back to the alert. We'll go back to the nighttime, all that, and we're going to cover it. We're going to do everything we can to give you all the information so you're ready, because I'm not really worried about the war stuff. I'm worried about more of the financial stuff, because that really does numbers on people in ways that people don't fully understand. When the Soviet Union collapsed, 10% of the population passed away. They died some way or another. It wasn't them unaliving themselves. It was, I got to fix my roof because I don't have the means to do it otherwise. Climb up on the roof, slip, fall, die. Drink themselves to death. Trying to work on their car and the thing falls on them. Just stuff like that. Like, financial duress does really crazy things to the world. So we're watching that closely. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. And that's why we end with the financials. I don't know if the financials are going to go off the rails here in America. They're not looking good, but they're looking pretty nasty across the pond and overseas as well. As you heard, the China thing isn't terrible yet. Something being as bad in the last 7 months as it said. Not a huge deal. But the Country Garden Evergrande thing has been going on for a few years now. We've covered it here. And there is a real problem with their real estate sector. And it could blow up. And if you know anything about Asian culture, specifically the Chinese, that's a retirement. Their retirement is real estate. They like physical assets. Why? Because they're products of famine and 3,000 years of HE double hockey sticks and prosperity, different things. So they like their wealth in physical form because they're experienced, and things are not going well over there. So if the real estate crash, something bad happens over there with that, it'll really start to take all the strange things going on and just really kick them in the nuts. So that's the deal. Yeah, I'm worried about the evil too. That's why we moved out in the middle of nowhere. So, worry is interest paid before due. I like that, Broke Dick's Journal. So, no expectations, no regrets. We'll be back tomorrow. Regular programming. I will have a crisis report alert for you. I will have a regular report. And we will continue that way until the weekend. The weekend's another busy one again for me. So I will get posts out as I can. So we're in the heart of my busy part of the year, folks. It is what it is for what I do and how I do it, and all of my side hustles and everything. But you can count on your thumbs in the last 6 months the days that I have missed putting intel out to the world. So if you like what we're doing here, hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, and come back for more. Possibly consider joining us on Twitter, Minds, Gab, Truth, all that. Been posting on to Subscribestar and Locals. Been a little bit neglecting there, but I'm going to get back to doing that. That's the kind of stuff you can't really show on the regular platforms. It's the place where you can actually really truly speak freely. That's a couple bucks a month. All everything I do is a couple bucks. If you like what we're doing and you wanna put some money into it to help us, great. You don't have to though. It's also mostly for free. Okay, you can get most of what I do for free. We also are on Substack. Same thing. I've got 23 people that subscribe for the year, and I appreciate them. As Bear Independent, we're brought to you by the good folks of Subscribestar, Substack, and Locals. I need to incorporate that. He's from Patreon, but Patreon kicked me off. Why? Because the things I put onto Patreon and Subscribestar, they'll get you kicked off because they're truthful. So I don't deal with Patreon. I don't like a company that tells me what I can and can't say. As a broadcast from YouTube. All right, folks, love you. God bless you all. Hit that like button before we go, and we will see you on the next one.